big news.
We were able to agree to terms on a deal with Los Angeles Rams on moving that first overall pick.
When is that ever going to
Eagles
happen again?
get the number 2 overall pick.
Everyone has an opinion. And they all think they're the smartest person in the room.
He's no Dion, but this kid rarely
We could
gets
market
false
him as the
steps.
face of the franchise.
We'd have to move up to get him.
At the end of the day, I gotta trust my instincts. We have an opportunity here.
Yo, what's going on, fellas? It's your boy the Bus, and we back in the building for Madden 24. You know what I'm saying? It's been a minute since we did the mock draft, so I know y'all waiting, anticipating to see who me and my sidekick Embro, what's going on?
What's going on, big dog? It's time to pop off another top 10 list on where careers go to die. Let's get it.
Yeah, man. You know, we chatted about this before, man, and I'm kind of excited about doing this show again, man. This is probably one of the most favorite shows I like to do. I think a lot of the other owners, man, they anticipate kind of seeing our thoughts on how we collaborate as far as like talking about these rookies, man, and where they gonna go, like you said, where they gonna go to die, and their careers be just done before they even step on the field. So I'm excited, man. So I know you already looked at the rookies coming in. What do you think so far?
Man, this rookie class, you know, those first classes that drop every time we play, you know, they're always heavy at certain spots. And I think this quarterback class is crazy good. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, and there's a few of them that are picking the top 10. So I could definitely see some quarterbacks going pretty quick. And if you need a quarterback, this may be the class to go ahead and snag one and go ahead and build them up for the cycle.
Yeah, I agree. This class is really deep with quarterbacks. So if you need one, this is definitely the draft to get one, man. So hey, man, we're not gonna hold y'all up. We're gonna go ahead and dive into these picks, you know. So first up, we got the Cardinals, and normally me and you know, kind of be on point on some of the picks, but this one we went our different ways. So I'm gonna let you go first, man, because I see you had the Cardinals picking DT Big Mike Wharton from Georgia.
Man, you know how Georgia's been putting out them defensive line products. You look at the Eagles; they've taken Jalen Carter, they've taken Jordan Davis, and you see what they've done in such a short time in their career in the league. So when you look at a team like the Cardinals, man, I mean, just look at the last game of the season. OG scored 91 points, like 91, not 31, 91 points.
Yeah.
And he gave up like 300 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns to Kenneth Walker. Now, the Cardinals gave up a lot of rushing yards this year. You look at teams in his division. Cam Akers with the Rams ran for 300 plus and 5 touchdowns. You look at Andy Force and the Niners, ran for over 300 yards each time and 5 touchdowns. I mean, each division mate he has just run down his throat, stomped on him, and just made him look bad. So the Cardinals need help on the defense in all phases, but when you pick number one, you got to get a home run guy. And to me, Mike Wharton is the number one defensive line prospect on the game. He's young at 22. I mean, he comes in from a big time program. If you look at his strength, his speed, everything, man, he's got the next great Georgia defensive line written all over him. I mean, you can't go wrong with a pick like this. And if you're Eric Yo and the Cardinals and you struggle as bad as you do on the run and you got really no defensive line presence, you got to go D-line. I know the sexy picks are going to be receivers and all this other kind of stuff, but, man, he's got to go D-line. And I think if he takes Mike Wharton, that automatically upgrades his defensive line group. And I think he could potentially be a superstar out the box.
Yeah.
I know we got to build these off, but that's big time when it comes to developing these guys. So I definitely think he's going to go D-line, and I think Mike Wharton's the pick.
And, bro, I really like that pick, man. The kid out of Georgia. You got to – when you think about Georgia, think about all the previous players that came out of Georgia. Half of them might be on the Philadelphia Eagles right now, but even
You ain't
besides
lying.
that, think about the defensive guys that came out of Georgia, man. And let's just start on the D-line. You got Big Jordan Davis, who was a monster coming out of Georgia. He still has to prove himself in Philly. Then the previous year you had what's the other DT name?
Devontae Wyatt came out of Georgia.
Yeah, him. But the Carter.
And then Carter this year came out of Georgia.
Carter this year came out of Georgia, who was a monster. So when you think about, man, I'm looking at getting a DT. Georgia could be DTU, as they say. Miami is wide receiver U, Clemson is wide. Georgia could be DTU because Big Mike Wharton, he's definitely gonna get it done. Fill the gaps. He can stop the run. He can rush the passer. And as you said, the Cardinals need some D-line that could possibly stop the run. I remember my guy that owns the Bears, I think he ran for like over 200 on them. You know what I'm saying? So when you got running backs rushing for over 200 yards on your team versus your team, you got to get somebody in there to plug that gap. So I can totally understand why you said the Cardinals would go Mike Wharton. Now, I'm staying on the same side of the ball, but I'm going a little further back. Back there in the secondary, I'm going cornerback Leonard Hurst. Now, he's from Oregon. Now, let me ask you something, Embro. What's the last good Oregon player that you've seen come out of Oregon?
Man, I can't lie. That rookie this year, Christian Gonzalez from the Patriots, he looked really, really good until he got hurt, unfortunately. But before that, man, it's been a hot minute since you've seen an elite player, come out of Oregon and actually amount to something in the pros.
Right. So that's what I was hitting on. I was waiting for you to say Gonzalez because Leonard Hurst, he could be better than Gonzalez. I know he's faster. You know what I'm saying? So when you're looking at the combine, they haven't done pro days yet, so those days are still waiting. But just from the combine, man, he's ran like a 4.32, which is the fastest 40 out of the cornerbacks. Great speed, great acceleration, great hip movement. You know what I'm saying? And I know it starts in the trenches, man, but I'm only saying that the Cardinals will go cornerback because he has 2 first-round picks. You know what I'm saying? With Arizona, you got Budda Baker back there at the safety spot. Let me see who he has back there, which is the reason why I said he may go.
He's got a couple of young,
cornerback.
DBs. Kentrell Clark's a nice up and coming player.
Right.
You got Thompson at safety. I mean, they got some young guys back there. Cornerback is definitely a need. Like we said, the Cardinals need a lot of players pretty much everywhere. And so Hurst, he's got the size at 6'3". He's got this, he's about 190.
Mm-hmm.
He's got all the potential in the world, but he didn't show that kind of potential on the tape. So
right.
A lot of guys go off of, what's the 40 times say or what he can be. So I think it's a little bit of a reach, but when you got that type of elite athleticism, you really can't go wrong, especially on Madden. So this is another great class of corners. So, him going 1 wouldn't shock me just based off of Eric Yo and his draft history.
Yeah.
So I think Hurst, being that type of dude, especially at a premium position, I wouldn't be shocked to see him go 1.
Yeah, I look at Hurst as one of those sexy picks where you're looking at, I want to go out there and get the fastest guy, get a cornerback or whatever. But I'm still going to piggyback off of what you said as far as I think it starts in the trenches. Mike Wharton will be that guy who will be the staple of your D-line. And my question to you, Embro, is, I know you mentioned it earlier, based on his division, does the cornerback help more, or does the DT help more? You know what I'm saying? Because you got the Rams in that division. You got is it the Seahawks, right?
Yeah, you got OG and the Seahawks.
OG
and
and the
you got
Seahawks, and you got the Niners in that division as well. We all know OG with the Hawks, he's gonna air it out. So that's one of the reasons why I'm like, well, dang, is he gonna start to try to stop the pass first, or he's gonna try to get some DTs in there, stop the run, and get after that quarterback?
Well, just based off of season one, they all played 6 times, in total, and I think each team that played them at least ran for 250 on them. And I said Cam Akers had a field day, Christian McCaffrey had a field day, and Kenneth Walker had a field day. So,
right.
I know all them teams can pass, but at the end of the day, if dudes know that you can't stop the run, they're going to run down your throat until you show them that you can stop it. So,
gotcha.
Either way they could go. But for me, just watching him this year, yeah, I would definitely go D-line.
Gotcha. So, hey, man, that was Eric Yo has the first overall pick. Now, let's move to Denver. And I think we both kind of know where he's going. We both had the same players from the same school, and that's Ian Wagner from Cal. Now, you kind of familiar with Cal quarterbacks, with Aaron Rodgers being from Cal and having to sit behind I don't even want to say his name. You know his name.
Oh, Brett Favre, baby.
Yeah, him. So
the very first Bears owner.
Yeah. So we got the Denver Broncos selecting Ian Wagner, man, and I'm gonna let you talk about Ian, but I think in this case, Dub and those Broncos, they have no choice but to select the quarterback right here. Because you got Russell Wilson down there, man, and he has a huge contract. And I think he's hoping that maybe after the second season he retires. But you might as well get a quarterback in there who can just take over and then run with it and hopefully Russell retires. Because right now, all Russell is good for is just making babies with Sierra. So what you think about Ian Wagner from Cal, man?
Man, I think this kid has it. I just looking at Dub and the Broncos, man, that was their biggest deficiency this year. When you say, "Hey, Russell, you're not doing it for me, and I'm going to play Brett Hundley or Felipe Franks over him," that speaks volumes on where you're at in the quarterback room. So Dub needs a quarterback. He's been very open about wanting to draft a quarterback. I think this kid right here has all the tools to be great. I mean, he's a 6'4", 235-pound scrambling quarterback that can sling the rock. If you look at the last few years in the draft, you look at guys like C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, them type of athletic quarterbacks. They're big, they're strong, they're physical, they can do all that. That's what guys want. They want that athlete that can chuck the rock. And one of the biggest things the scouts said leading up to the draft about Ian Wagner was that he throws beautiful spirals on all his passes. So that tells you right there that the kid can pass it, that he don't throw wonky balls. He's going to put the ball exactly where he wants it. So coming from Cal, where they've produced quarterbacks in the past, I mean, you got to take a quarterback here. And I think, being relatively close to Denver, it's on a far flight from him to go from Southern Cal to, a couple of states over. And I truly think if the Broncos can find a quarterback and they take Ian Wagner right here, I'm calling it now. I think the Broncos could potentially win that division and make the playoffs next year.
I think they can make the playoffs as well. Ian Wagner would definitely come in and lift the spirits up of the Mile High Stadium fans, because right now ain't nothing high over there. You know what I'm saying? Except the weeds that's on the field, because they can't even get the grass cut over there, man. You know what I'm saying?
Struggleville, man.
Yes. So, yeah, man, I think Ian Wagner will be really good. And you're looking at a quarterback that ran a 4.69 at the combine. Great strength, great throw power. So he can move, and I think he's going to be able to throw it down the field to Judy and who you got down there, Sutton. I don't know if he still has Hamler or not, but he got Marvin Mims Jr. So he has a pretty good nucleus down there of receivers and a nice little tight end who can kind of be that little comfort zone for him, man, to hit the tight end. And the O line down there is not that bad either. So uh he I think he'll be in a good situation right there. I mean, he's not coming into a team that's just totally dismantled. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and then you look at the Broncos. The Broncos were in a lot of games last year. I mean, it wasn't like they were just getting their heads beaten every week. They were just losing games because they couldn't put points on the board at the appropriate time. So if you can get a kid like this who's big, physical, can run, can pass, do all those things that you're looking for, man. I definitely think he would gel right perfectly in with dubbing them Broncos and take him to the next level.
gotcha. All right, that's the Broncos, man. I'm sure. What's my left tackle name? Is it Bortles? Bortles?
Yes, yeah, he's tired of losing to Denver, man.
He's
been
tired of
there for,
losing.
6, 7 years.
Yeah.
He's made it very known that all he's done is lost in Denver. So
Right. So we gotta help him out, man. Come on, Ian. Come down there and get some wins down there in the Mile High. All right. Next up, man, we got the Dirty Birds, Atlanta Falcons, man. And once again, we agree with the Falcons taking the quarterback. Now, we both have them taking Nick Harden from K-State. I don't ever remember like a top 5 quarterback coming out of K-State. I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure
you
if
can
Kansas
jog my
State's-
memory a good.
I'm not sure if Kansas State's ever had a top 5 player.
Right. I don't remember a top 5 player coming out of K-State. But I mean, let's take a quick look at Nick Harden, man. I mean, what 4.71 40. So he can move a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He can wiggle the hips and get you about 3 or 4 yards or so if he needs to. Good throw power, great strength. So he might be able to shake off a few sacks. But honestly, why did you put Ian in front of Nick?
I think Ian's got more of the athleticism to him. I think Nick is more or less the traditional quarterback. And so knowing how Dub wants to run his offense, that's why I put, Ian above him. But I think pure passing ability, I think Nick Harden's a better pocket passer. You look at all the accuracies and all the stuff that a traditional quarterback is needing. I think Nick has that. And, I know right now there's 2 top 5 players potentially in the draft that came from Kansas State. You got Nick Harden, and then you got his running mate at receiver who could be a top 5 pick. So, they both showed on the field what they could do in that conference and why they were together in college. So when you look at the Falcons, I mean, again, kind of these top 5 teams, they all struggle in a lot of areas, but Ritter's not that guy. It's pretty evident that Ritter just struggles week in and week out. And the Falcons got a lot of talent. You look at Bijan Robinson, elite running back. You look at Drake London, elite receiver. I mean, you got Kyle Pitts at tight end. I mean, an elite athletic freak at that position. They have a really good offensive line. They just need a quarterback that can go out there and sling it. He reminds me a lot of Matt Ryan. He may not be as tall as Matt Ryan, but the accuracy and those same attributes are there.
Yeah.
And I think he would just gel right into that Atlanta offense and allow them Dirty Birds to compete in the NFC South. Because you look at the NFC South wasn't that great. I think the playoff team got in with 9 wins?
Yeah, about 9 wins, yeah.
If they can get a quarterback that can put the ball to those, elite players they got, I think they could potentially fight for that division. So I think Nick Harden, being an elite player that he showed in college, I think he's deserving of that spot.
Yeah, man. I think Nick Harden can come down there and as you said, potentially get the Dirty Birds, back to winning. They haven't been the same since that Super Bowl loss to the Patriots. Everything's kind of gone downhill by then. But they got a good owner down there, man, and he has pieces. You got Pitts down there, Bjorn, you got London. So you just need somebody to get him the ball. Now the question is, what happens with Ritter if and when Nick Harden comes down there? There shouldn't be a QB battle because if you got the number 3 pick, and you spend it on Nick Harden, he immediately comes in as the QB1. Am I right?
Oh yeah, Ritter's gonna be holding that clipboard, man. It's when you spend the third overall pick on a quarterback with that type of elite ability, then yeah, you're gonna play that kid.
Yeah.
And I think Ritter just has to be a good veteran when it comes to that, being in the league for a couple of years now, and just be a quality backup. Injuries happen and stuff, so I think Ritter will just have to accept that role, or maybe the Falcons ownership may look to move Ritter, or just maybe get a late round pick for him. But if he takes Nick Harden at 3, then yeah, you got to play the kid.
Gotcha. So, I like the pick. Me and you both agreed on Ian Wagner to Denver, and Nick Harden to the Falcons, man. Now next up, this is where we disagree again. So, you got the New York Giants coming up, man, and you got wide receiver Johnny Charles from K-State. That's probably who made Nick Harden so good. You know what I'm saying? When you got a receiver like that who can throw to him and stretch the field, make the tough catches, 2 hands, 1 hand, it doesn't really matter. Run crisp routes. Johnny Charles seemed like your man. So you got him going to the Giants. What do you like about this kid?
I mean, what is there not to like? I mean, he's like Calvin Johnson 2.0, man. I mean, when you look at how big and fast this kid is, I mean, he's 6'5", 228, and he just jumps out at you on the tape, man. For being that big and to be that fast, I mean, he ran a 4.5 at the combine. I mean, that's just kind of like a cheat code when you're that tall and got that much size to you, and you can run that fast. And we all saw what Calvin Johnson did at a non-traditional offense at Georgia Tech.
Yep.
He came in and lit the world on fire. I mean, and one of the biggest things that Johnny Charles does is get yards after the catch. His yak was crazy this year. And so that probably did play a role into Nick Wagner's, Nick Harden's, season last year with him.
Yep.
But, when you're the Giants and you don't have that elite guy at wide receiver. I mean, you got good tight ends in Waller and Bellinger, but you don't really have that guy, and they haven't had that guy since OBJ,
Yeah.
And the defense actually played pretty well. If you look at some of the teams he lost to, I mean, he was right there in those games, and he just couldn't get that last little bit to put him over the top to get some wins. So give Daniel Jones some players to work with. I think Johnny Charles comes in there from day one as wide receiver 1, and I think he's coming in there and making some crazy noise for them G-men, and I think he has a chance of winning Rookie of the Year in that division. I don't know. I mean, outside of Trayvon Diggs in Dallas, I'm not sure if there's a corner in the NFC East that could stop this kid.
Right. Johnny Charles is the man, and I mean he'll come down there and team up with Slayton, Waller, and you got Barkley down there. Now this is where we differ, because when he comes to New York, he's gonna be playing with old Danny I ain't too good Jones.
Oh, Danny Pennies, man.
Yeah, him. So I got him going quarterback. I got him taking the kid out of USC, Mario Marshall. And I don't know if the news is current or if it's right, but there was some news out of New York that ownership might be parting ways with Danny Jones. It was kind of hard to believe because Danny just signed that contract, and it's gonna put him in the red. But Danny Jones must be really bad because he's willing to take the consequences of going over the cap by cutting Danny Jones, because when you look at his penalty, it's like $116 million. You know what I'm saying? You cut him now, you eating all of that. Personally, if it wasn't me, hey, I would let Danny Jones stay there and let him kind of mentor this new kid, Mario Marshall, coming in from Southern Cal. That's just me. Now, Marshall's a big kid, 6'4", 227. He's 23, but he comes from an offense that's just gonna throw the ball around. You know what I'm saying? And he comes in running a 4.79 40, elite throw power, elite strength. Now, I don't know if he's looking for a quarterback who can move. He ain't moving. I'll tell you that, because he got poor acceleration and decent speed. So He's a pocket quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Throws a very good spiral. They say he could use some improvement at recognizing pressure. So this may impact him a little bit, but this is where you got to build a solid O-line to make sure nobody gets to him and he's able to see and doesn't feel that pressure that he may be oblivious to, if you understand what I'm saying. But I like him. You know what I'm saying? Even during the combine, man, you can see he has a quick release. Kind of remind me of they always say, is it the Aaron Rodgers release?
Oh yeah, man, it's
really quick.
That quick throwing motion. He just flicks it.
Yeah, so he has that quick throwing motion, man. So he can get the ball out of his hands quick. Tall guy, 6'4", 227, man. So he's big. He can take some hits if he needs to. But I think when you're looking for a quarterback and you don't want to stick with old Danny Pennies, you know what I'm saying? This could be the route that you may need to go. However, I don't think I would cut Danny Jones just yet. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. Now,
I mean, with a kid like this, who there are some highlights. I mean, you look at it, he can throw the rock. I mean, he's got one of the highest throw powers in this class. So you're like, man, he can stand back there and chuck it 70 yards. It's some of those other areas he may be a little deficient. So this is kind of a pick where you're looking maybe to groom the kid into that role. He's coming from a team that really is not known for producing great NFL quarterbacks. You look at it, USC has put out, some good quarterbacks, but nothing like great. And, you look at the last one that came out, Sam Darnold, picked really high and had all the talent in the world, but just couldn't put it together. And so I think that's going to scare some teams off. But I agree, man. If he takes Marshall, which this kid's really good, he definitely got to keep Daniel Jones just in case things get rough, in season one for him.
Right. Totally agree here, man. I like Mario Marshall. I think he can come down there and get it done. Now, I have 3 quarterbacks off the board. Ian Wagner, Nick Harden, Mario Marshall. You got Ian going to the Broncos and Harden going to the Falcons. This kind of shows you how deep this class is. You know what I'm saying? But when it's all said and done, I think the top quarterback, just like we said, the top DT is Mike Wharton. I think the top quarterback is Ian Wagner. You know what I'm saying? So Nick Harden, Mario Marshall, they hearing all the news, they hearing everything in the media saying Ian Wagner is the guy. Nick Harden and Mario are like, it's almost like what's a group? David Ruffin in the Temptations. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
No, David Ruffin in the 5 Heartbeats. So yeah. Ian Wagner is David Ruffin and Nick Harden and Mario Marshall are part of the 5 Heartbeats.
And what's crazy about these guys, man, is that, there's 3 really good quarterbacks right here, but there's still more quarterbacks after that group that are really good. So it just shows you, like you said a minute ago, how deep and how great this class is.
Yeah, very deep, man. So coming in with pick number 6, man, you got the steel curtain, the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, and you got them going Cal with Martin Clayton. I got him taking your boy from K-State, Johnny Charles. So, I mean, we already know what Johnny Charles can do. Personally, I kind of see why you have a cornerback penciled in right there, because he kind of needs some help. But I went receiver, man, solely because I feel like he needs a little bit of speed. You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at his receiving core, you got Deontay Johnson, who's 28, George Pickens, who's the young guy, Allen Robinson, who's 85 years old, and then you got Calvin Austin, who's 5'9", 95 speed. After that, you don't really have anything. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you bring in Johnny Charles and tag him up with George Pickens, and you got a nice little 1-2 combo right there with Pickens and Charles. And then you have, if you want, you can put Calvin Austin in the slot, or you keep Deontay and move him in the slot. But he ain't gonna be there long. Allen Robinson ain't gonna be there long. You know what I'm saying? So we've already kind of stated what Johnny Charles is gonna bring to any team. And I think with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it may be able to take him over the hump and give Pickett another target, another big target. That's just me, you know. I know how you feel about Johnny Charles, and I think he'll be in a better position with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, tell me about Martin Clayton from Cal. You know what I'm saying?
Man, this kid right here, to me, he's the number one corner in the draft. He may not have all that athletic, freaky stuff that Mr. Hurst has that you penciled in at number one. But, man, this kid right here, he's 21 years old, and he lit up the combine in all his position drills. I mean, you could just see off the jump on what the kid can do. He takes the ball away. He led the NCAA this past year with 10 interceptions at Cal. And every scout talks about, man, the kid's an aggressive ball hawk. And what do you need at corner in the NFL? You need ball hawks, man. You need guys that track the ball, go get it. You know, you could be fast, you could be tall, or whatever the case may be. But if you can't find that ball, then you're worthless. So I think in Pittsburgh, you put this kid across Joey Porter Jr. Now you got two really young, really, really good corners, you know, for your cycle essentially. And, he's a zone corner. You know, some guys like man-to-man type corners. Other guys like the zone guys. And so I know Pittsburgh plays a lot of zone defense. And so if you could put Clayton out there with Joey Porter Jr., you still got Minka back there. I mean, you then revitalize your whole secondary with that player.
Yeah.
And you look at who they play. You play Joey Burrow and Jamar Chase. You play Deshaun Watson and, Cooper. And the Super Bowl champs are in your division. I mean, you got the Ravens, you got Lamar Jackson and that whole offensive crew. So, you got to go out there and get some defense. So, yeah, if Johnny Charles is there, it'd be very tough to pass up because, I mean, he's just a freak. But, man, I think this kid right here may be one of the top one or two defensive players in this draft. And so if I'm big homie in Pittsburgh Steelers, man, you take this kid, you won't regret it. I think the kid is going to flourish there across Joey Porter Jr., and I think it's a home run selection.
I agree with that, man. I mean, even looking at the cornerback that's on the team now, you got Pat Pete. He's 34 years old. I mean,
that's a great mentor for a young kid that's a ball hawk.
Right, great mentor.
Better to teach.
Great mentor, man. But after the game, he getting straight in the ice tub. You know what I'm saying? With some icy hot. So and he might be out a game or two. So then you got Levi Wallace, who's 29. The next guy, like you said, Joey Porter Jr. Him and Clayton will be a real nice duo. You know what I'm saying? To kind of take over like once Pat P and Levi Wallace is gone. I would keep Pat P. Just for the mentor. But he would definitely slide down to probably third or fourth cornerback, you know what I'm saying? But I think, and then the good thing about this, if the Steelers do choose Martin Clayton, and you go with Joey Porter and Martin and Clayton as your starters, man, you got the All-Pro Mika Fitzpatrick back there just lurking, ready to help. You know what I'm saying? So you got the guy back there. If Martin Clayton makes mistakes or Joey Porter makes mistakes, you got Mika back there to kind of help. You know what I'm saying? So I like the pick. I like the kid out of Cal. So, man, so what? Out of Cal, you got Aaron Rodgers, who we remember, and then you got the homeboy. Man, boy, my mind is going blank right now.
Had a lot of good players come out of Cal, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of good players, but my main two that I always remember is Aaron Rodgers and
Marshawn Lynch.
And Marshawn Lynch. Those two.
Got Deshaun Jackson. They were all in the same group,
Deshaun
man.
Jackson. I remember
they all played together at Cal.
I remember Marshawn Lynch just driving the cart.
Just driving the golf cart across the field.
You know what I'm saying? So don't do that, please. Don't do that. Don't hurt nobody. All right, man. That's 1 through 5. Now we got picks 6 through 10, and we got pick 6 coming up, man. And I gotta say, Mr. Embro, I love this pick right here. Right guard Cam Saturday, man. So, I like the pick because we don't really give a lot of love to the old lineman, man. So let's take a deeper look before you even start talking about. Ooh, didn't want to do that. Before you start talking about him, you know what I'm saying? So, Mr. Cam Saturday, 2021, he redshirted. You know what I'm saying? He had an ACL injury, but 2022, 23, 24, man, he played 10 games in 2022, played all games in the next 2 years. Pancakes, he was just roughing people up. 3 sacks 2022, 1 sack last 2023, and then no sacks his final year in school. You know what I'm saying? And as you can see, he plays a lot of downs, so he had the experience. The one thing I like about Cam Saturday that you may see, I personally think he can play any in every position on the offensive line. I mean, so I know you picked him and had him going to the Bills. Tell me what you like about the kid.
So this is unfamiliar territory for the Bills ownership. I mean, to be picking at number 6, I mean, this is like once in a lifetime type of opportunity to make sure you hit a home run at this pick. And not too many times you're going to be picking this high. So when you look at Cam Saturday, man, he may be the best offensive line in this draft. He has no weakness. You know, when you watch the kid on the tape, he just runs you smooth over every single play, whether it's single block, double team, going to the second level. He's just going to deplete you every opportunity he has. And so when you look at him at Florida, he did it week in and week out. You know, last couple of years, you know, he just played phenomenal ball. And this, to me, is going to be the first big ugly that comes off the board. When you go to look at Buffalo, you got Josh Allen at quarterback. You got Cook at running back. You got some great players on offense. You got to be able to protect those guys, man. And when you know SJ and them Buffalo Bills, they like to run the ball, and they like to run the ball inside between the guard and tackles. And we all know what play we're talking about. So you got to get that big dude that can go in there and knock them DTs around and get to the second level and put some, some hard hits on them linebackers. So I think that Cam Saturday slides in from day one, starts at offensive guard for the Buffalo Bills. I think he potentially could be a superstar dev out the gate, which is, very, very important, especially for O-line. This kid, again, he has no weaknesses in his game, and I think it's a home run pick for the Bills.
Yes, totally agree. And then you got to think about how the way the Bills play. They like to run the ball. They like to run between the tackles, between the guards with the inside zone. So if Cam Saturday gets drafted by the Bills, he will be playing every down. It's going to be the same play pretty much every down. You know what I'm saying?
He's almost guaranteed to make the Pro Bowl just because of the recognition he'll get for people watching on film, the type of blocks he's having to do week in and week out. So, yeah, again, it's a home run pick for that type of play style.
Definitely. So you got him going right guard with Mr. Cam Saturday, and he's no kin to Jeff Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Different, same last name, but no kin at all. So you got him going guard, man, and I understand why, but I actually had him going free safety, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because the safety spot on the Bills is an Asian position. When you got Jordan Poyer at 33, still good, but I think it's time to kind of bring somebody else in. And then you got Taylor Rapp on the other side. So I think,
and I'm pretty sure Michael Hyde just left via free agency too.
Yeah, and Michael Hyde just left. So Michael Hyde is looking for a new team and trying to get paid. So you have to bring in somebody who can kind of like step in and play and probably be mentored by Poyer. And I think Shaquem Benson is the guy that the Bills need. When you're looking at his measurables, he's a little short. He's a zone guy, 5'11", 198, 21 from South Carolina, as we already see. Great speed, ran a 4.53, decent acceleration. elite jumping, good strength. I think the kid can be really, really well if he's in the right system and coached up by the right coach, by the right team, and mentored by some veteran players that's there like Poyer. You know what I'm saying? Pick 6. I think it's a decent pick. I like Cam Saturday a little bit more, but I think Bibson is somebody who can step in right now and play. Now the question is, do you let him stay at free safety, or is it a move where he goes to strong safety? If you in a position and you picking the kid out of South Carolina, what do you see the best fit for him? Free safety, strong safety?
I mean, just based off of his college tape and what he's done in college, man, I think free safety is the best bet. Let him play the deep part of the zone. I think Poyer's lost a step or two, so I think it's a little bit more difficult for him to cover those, deeper zones. So I think him staying at free safety is a great pick. He's young. He's only 21, so he's got a lot of room to grow. But again, he's got some veterans like Poyer, like Tre'Davious White. He's got some guys back there that can teach him how to play. And so that is a need for the Bills.
Yeah.
And, it's always good to make sure when you're picking this high to pick a slam dunk pick. So, Shaquem Benson would be a great pick right here. I don't think it would be a bad selection for the Bills just because based off of need and how great of a player he is. So I think he would start day 1 at free safety for the Bills.
Gotcha. 2 great picks, man. 2 good kids that I think can come in and compete right away. Now, next up, we got the Tennessee Titans, and I got him going Cam Saturday. He's not a DT. He's big enough to play DT, but he's a right guard. And the thing here, it's been said, when he's been talking to some of the coaches in some of these organizations, that he wants to play both sides of the ball. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you see him as being named a DT, but he will be drafted as a right guard to whatever team gets him. Now, I'm gonna tell you why I think the Titans will pick Cam Saturday and play him at right guard. If he plays DT, great, you know what I'm saying? But definitely right guard. When you look at the Titans and how they play, and bro, you've seen them play multiple times. This kid has actually, I think he owns like a mortuary, because he's been putting people to 6 feet under. You know what I'm saying? He likes
and what a better place to go than to the Soul Taker and Flair and the Titans.
Yes. Flair is in Tennessee taking souls, man. Sending out mourns and putting people 6 feet under, man. And what better place to go when you can block for Derrick Henry? I just feel like Cam Saturday will just fit right. You know how you have that one missing piece, and it just slides in perfectly. You know what I'm saying? You can almost just drop it and it just settles into that spot that's open. I think Cam Saturday is that guy that will help the Titans run the ball even better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you're looking at how you run with Derrick Henry, you got Tajay Spears down there. I don't see what other way that he should probably go besides getting Cam Saturday, and it will be a boost on the O-line as well. But we've talked about him going to the Bills, so we know what he brings to the table. Now, you got him going Reggie Ringer from North Carolina State. Tell me about the kid from North Carolina State.
Man, we talked about Mr. Charles from Kansas State earlier, how he was a Calvin Johnson, 2.0. This kid ain't too far behind, man. When you look at everything he puts out there, he's 6'4", 219, so he's almost the same size as Charles. And he does the same thing, man. He's great speed. When a kid that big can run a 4.46, I mean, that's just crazy, man. And so he goes up there and gets the ball. I mean, he has no flaws in his game. And like Charles, he has great yak. So after he gets the ball, he knows what to do with it. And, the Titans just cut DeAndre Hopkins. The Titans have not had a great receiver since they let AJ Brown go, and so, when you got a kid, that they drafted last year at quarterback, and because they just traded Malik Willis as well. So when you got a kid from Kentucky that's back there who struggled his year one, they ran the ball great, but he really couldn't pass it all that well.
Mm-hmm.
So go out there and get a kid like Mr. Ringer, who's 6'4", you could throw it, even if it's not 100% accurate, that kid knows how to go get the ball. And so I think right here at pick 7, go get that kid a playmaker, and I think it'll alleviate the defense not being able to stack the box, because if guys are going to run the ball, you're going to do everything you can to bring that extra safety, to add that extra D lineman to stop it. And, you already saw what the Titans did this past year with having 2 great running backs.
Right.
You add this type of guy, man, you take that offense to a whole new level. And so I think Ringer, man, he's a home run pick. I think between him and Charles is 1A and 1B. I think it's just personal preference on which one you want to go with, but yeah, I think he would be a slam dunk pick for the Titans.
Right. So when you're looking at the Titans roster right now, he let go of Hopkins, which I probably would have did the same thing. Hopkins is a little up in age, so I'm pretty sure somebody else will bring him in for some veteran presence. But right now you got Treylon Burks, who's a big receiver. Kyle Phillips, I don't really know too much about him. Nick Westbrook, I don't know nothing about him either. But I know the Ringer kid would come in and start right away. Now I know there was a trade earlier, where he got the receiver from the 49ers. I think he was a speed guy, so he's bringing in.
He brought in Danny Gray. That's
Danny Gray.
Yeah.
So Danny Gray is on his way to Tennessee right now, riding on the Greyhound. You know what I'm saying? Flair couldn't even give him a jet and let him fly in. So you see how he treating his players, man. Like,
Flair cheat, man.
Yeah, he's real cheap. So, Danny Gray, if he selects Reggie Ringer, and then you tag him up with Trey Burks, you're gonna have to respect the speed. Whether he passes it to him or not, you're gonna have to respect it. So, like as you mentioned, it's gonna open up some lanes for Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears. So, either way, good pick. You know what I'm saying? Reggie Ringer or Cam Saturday to help block for Derrick Henry or whoever his quarterback is. Because I think he also traded Willis.
Yeah, he traded Willis to the Patriots.
So Willis is on the move to the Patriots. So right now, the quarterback down there in Tennessee is probably Will Levis. It should be. It shouldn't be Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill needs to have that mentor player tag right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he re-signed Tannehill just to be a mentor to Will Levis. And so, either way, if you go Cam Saturday, that's a home run pick. I don't think he'll last that long to get to him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if he's there, then yeah, you take that elite offensive lineman. But if he's off the board, then to me, give Will Levis another, great athlete, another playmaker, and it takes your offense to a whole new level, and to where he could potentially win that division. The AFC South, was pretty tight, man, for a lot of it. We know Bruce and the Jaguars pulled away, but the rest of those guys, they were all pretty, much in the same bunch. And so, either way, great picks, but I definitely think that, Ringer would be my pick for him.
Yeah. Great pick, man. Great pick. So, next up, man, we got pick 8, and we got the Bears coming in at pick 8. But let's not get this twisted. The Bears weren't that bad to get pick 8. It was a trade that you guys already know that involved DJ Moore coming to the Bears. So, C-Rob, the Bears organization want to thank you for being ass. And that's for taking the Bears defensive coordinator overnight when he was asleep. But that's a whole nother topic. But right now,
thief in the night, man.
Yeah.
Thief in the night.
So, with the Bears owner, man, and when you look at the Bears team, when I look at their team, they have to rebuild that D-line. Right now they have DeMarcus Walker, who's 29. He's a bridge player. You got Dominique Robinson, who's a future starter, but I just don't think he's that guy. He's already 26, so when you look at Dominique Robinson, I think he's that guy where, hey, if somebody get hurt, hey, we can plug him in. You know what I'm saying? The Panthers early in the season, if y'all noticed, he cut Yetur Gross-Matos. The Bears picked him up, re-signed him, and immediately moved him to DN once they hit the offseason. So that's gonna be a slight upgrade at the DN spot for them. But I see you got him going Emmanuel Rogers out of Notre Dame, man. So first of all, who does Emmanuel Rogers remind you of?
Man, Emmanuel Rogers is, from Notre Dame. What was the last linebacker that came from Notre Dame?
Jalen Smith.
After him, I mean, if you look at
the
kid from the Browns.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the way they match up together side by side, you really wouldn't know the difference. I think Emmanuel Rogers is maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But when you look at him, this kid's, 6'4", 6'5", and he's 259.
Yeah.
And he was one of the fastest and most athletic players at the combine and in all of college football last year. So, when you're the Bears, I mean, the Bears were only one game out of being in the playoffs. I mean, they lost the tiebreaker to the Vikings to get in. So The Bears were right there in the cusp of being there and punching their ticket into the dance. So I think when you add a guy like Rodgers to a defense and, that's already being coordinated greatly and being able to keep them in ball games, you get a guy that could play linebacker, that could play defensive end. I think he would be. I think he's the best linebacker in the draft, and he would just become like that all-around tool, kind of like that Michael Parsons type of role.
Yeah.
Where sometimes they're going to put him in at linebacker, but then they're going to let him rush the passer. And I think he could have that kind of impact. So you put him there in Chicago where they need talent.
Yes.
And I think this guy right here being as fast and strong as he is, and the kid's only 21.
Right.
I mean, I think him going to Chicago, he will breathe new life into the Windy City when it comes to defense. And I think the ownership there would be really happy to see what that kid can put out there for them, especially being in a tough division where all four teams were either in the playoffs or, in tiebreaker to get in the playoffs. So you got to have just a great balance of a team roster, and the Bears need this. And so I think Emmanuel Rogers, man, I think he'd be a home run pick for Chicago.
Yeah, I like the kid from Emmanuel Rogers, man. He's been doing a lot of interviews with, the top 10 teams. He's not doing any interviews with anybody after the top 10 because he feel like he's going to be a top 10 guy. So I don't know how to really take that. I don't know if I take that as being cocky and you just know you're going to be drafted. But hey, if it is cockiness, I like it. You know what I'm saying? The Bears is a team that kind of needs that in the locker room. But
you need that swag in Chicago, man, because them fans are ruthless.
Yes. They
love you to death, but then they'll hate you to death just as fast.
Right. So I have the Bears picking Sean Webb out of the University of Texas. Now, a lot of times, when you're drafting and you're coming up with these mock drafts, you kind of look at like who was there before this guy came out. So when you think about standout guys that rush the passing guy and get after the passer, and bro, I hope you remember his name, but he's from Texas. Oh, I got it. Arakpo. You remember Arakpo?
Brian Arakpo. He played for them old school Washington Redskins. That boy could play.
Yes. I mean, he had a little short career over there, but Sean Webb kind of reminds me of a Arakpo. You know what I'm saying? He was a power rusher, 6'4", 276, and he ran a 4.64, which is the second fastest 40 for the right ends. So great speed, good acceleration, good strength. You're not just going to get your hands on him and not allow him to get to the quarterback. He's strong enough to get there with the power moves, and his finesse moves aren't quite as good as the power moves, but I'm sure that's going to be something that he works on to whatever team he goes to. You You know what I'm saying? He has a high motor, so he never stops. Only time he stops is once he gets to the quarterback, and that's a good sign for a young defensive end coming out of Texas and coming into the DML. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing that might be lacking is, I guess, having a veteran, presence on the D line if he does go to Chicago. So he's gonna have to, take some orders from, Eddie Jackson back there and Jalen Johnson to kind of get him right, and just listen to the coaches. But
And Sean Webb, man, I mean, when you look at him, I mean, you named off a lot of great things about the kid. Texas is kind of getting their swag back. So you see where that Texas program is coming from. And so the one thing that popped out is that they said that when he hits people, he delivers bone-crushing hits.
Yeah.
What other place do you know that they love that type of football? Chicago, man.
Yes.
I mean, that's Chicago brand football. So you put him at at the defensive end, that 4-3, and let him get after the quarterback. I think that once, he kind of gets groomed into that role, I think if he can take that mentorship from Eddie Jackson and Jalen Johnson and boys, I think he could be a really good defensive end. I think he is the best defensive end in the class. And he would slot in and be a great pick for Chicago, just based off of who the kid is, what he's about, and what he would bring to Chicago.
Totally agree, man. Like, I don't think the Bears owner can go wrong with either of those picks, Sean Webb or Emmanuel Rodgers, man. It's a position of need. So I'm sure the guys in the Bears organization have done their homework on all these DNs. So next up, man, we got the Cardinals coming up again. And hey, you had him taking Mike Wharton at number 1. I had him taking Mike Wharton at number 9. And we know about the kid. He's the best DT on the board in the draft. Could possibly be the best player in the draft. So you probably wondering, like, well, damn, he's the best player. How does he drop the pick 9? And that's solely because of the needs of other teams. You know what I'm saying? But if he's your guy, then yeah, you go get him at number 1. If you think you can get him at 9, then you wait. You know what I'm saying? Either way it go, you got him picking Luke Cheeks. Hold up, Luke Cheeks. I would definitely be changing my last name if my last name was Cheeks. You know what I'm saying? So, but let's talk about the kid from West Virginia.
Get low, man.
Let's talk about the kid from West Virginia, man. Let's talk about Luke Cheeks.
Man, I think the kid, I mean, being here at number 9, we know last year with the Cardinals and Texans, they made that draft day trade. And so this pick was stemming from that trade. So shout out to JB and them Texans pretty much gifting, Eric Yo a second top 10 pick this season. But I think Luke Cheeks is kind of right up there with your boy Webb. I think he's a 1A, 1B defensive end in this draft. And when you look at it, man, he ran a 4.69. He put 33 reps on the bench press. He did everything expected of him at the combine. I mean, just phenomenal speed and acceleration. He's real twitchy, and he's a pretty big dude. I mean, he plays at 265, so he's got some weight to him to be able to him playing the run game. Yeah. And the one thing that stuck out on tape when he was at West Virginia was his spin move. And we all know the infamous spin move in the NFL was Dwight Freeney.
Yes.
It was almost unblockable. So if that kid could come into Arizona and be coached up and utilize that spin move, I think that right there gives him an edge on Webb because of that right there.
Gotcha.
And so I think that with, him needing D-line in Arizona, to him to double dip in the top 10 to get 2 great players like Wart and Cheeks, I think that just changes the whole culture of Arizona's defense, because I think both of them can play against the run, and I think both of them can get after the quarterback as well.
Totally agree, man. If you can get Cheeks and Mike Wharton, bruh, that no matter what you pick in the second round, you won the draft. That's just my opinion. And Eryo and the Cardinals need that, because everybody know, man, defense wins championships. You know what I'm saying? and you got to be able to stop people. You know, because you on offense you can only score. On defense you can stop people and score. You know what I'm saying? So
you saw that Green Bay Packer defense in the NFC Championship. They couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Right.
So
right. And shout out, what's that? Bruce, is it Willis, the tight end? Oh my God, y'all! If y'all haven't seen it, go back and watch that catch that he made. You know what I'm saying? His stock went up drastically after that catch. You know what I'm saying?
I'm surprised Kittle ain't on the block yet, man.
Yeah. So, all right, man. So we finally at pick 10, and let's see what we got. 2 quarterbacks. So we got Mario Marshall, and then we got John Sykes from LSU. Now, we kind of already spoke about Marshall, but we gonna dive into it again. So, but before we do that, let's look at John Sykes real quick. Now, John Sykes from LSU, and you see he's wearing Joe Burrow's number. That number was retired, but John actually called Joe Burrow and asked him, "Hey man, can I wear your number?" And Joe Burrow gave him the green light. You know what I'm saying? So if Joe Burrow is giving you the green light, you might be pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So if you're just looking at his stats, 2021 it was a COVID year, so he did not play. 2022 got on the field a little bit, 2,500 yards, 14 tubs. The turnover was really high then, but he's still learning. He went from 2,500 yards to 45, 20 tubs, 5 interceptions. The last year, 5,800 yards, 30 tubs, 3 TDs. So even looking at that, you can see how he progressed every year. So you would think once he gets to the pros, to the DML, it's just gonna get even better. You know what I'm saying? The kid can throw the ball. He knows how to read defenses, man. He can take off a little bit, but I don't know if you looked into John Sykes or not, but how does John Sykes compare to all the other quarterbacks, then, bro?
Josh Sykes to me is the Anthony Richardson of this class. You see the flashiness. You see that, oh my goodness, when you watch him play, but can he be that traditional quarterback? You see right now in the league where, Richardson came in and he's getting smacked around. It ain't like the, college ball where, you can outrun guys and you can, juke them and stiff arm them. I mean, you're going to the pros, man, where everyone's trying to take your knock off and your head off. So when you look at Sykes, he's got all the physical tools you want. I didn't make him go higher like the Broncos pick because I'm weary of that type of, issue of him getting hurt in the pros. Mm-hmm. He's got that it factor. And I think it would be a great pick for the Rams because they need a young quarterback. You saw they were competitive this year. But yeah, he's got everything you want. He's got the flashiness, but the injuries and the potential for injury worries me. And that's why I went Mario Marshall over him because Marshall seems to be a little bit more on the safer side, maybe a little bit thicker, a little bit more built for the NFL. Mm-hmm. But Sykes has everything you want. I mean, I think the kid's going to be, that dual threat quarterback that you're looking for. So I definitely think it can translate. It just worries me on what maybe, especially when you're playing in the division with the Seahawks, fast, tenacious defense. Mm-hmm. You look at the Niners. I mean, they just went to the Super Bowl, man. They got some hitters over there. Fred Warner's wanting to knock you out of the game. And so, you look at what they got in that division, I'd be really weary. And the Rams don't have the best offensive line. Yeah. And so it kind of worries me that the kid's going to rely too much on his athletic ability and get hurt. So that's just my biggest fear compared to Marshall. Gotcha. Well, I'm looking at John Sykes, man. He's 6'3", 220, 22 years old. Throws a great ball. Does well to avoid sacks by throwing the ball away. Gets happy feet. And feels non-existent pressure. That's the thing that kind of throws me off with him. You know what I'm saying? But as you can see, to overcome that, he can run. You know what I'm saying? And he has elite speed and coming in with a 4.49 40. Elite acceleration, good throwing power. So I think he's that quarterback that's really
he's a scrambler, but he's balanced too. So he has enough throw power to get the ball out there, you know. But it's always, if you notice, it's in every draft, it's always that one quarterback that they boost up, kind of like Zach Wilson. You know what I'm saying? They boost up, but then they get to the NFL or they get to the DML, and it don't turn out.
I mean, look at Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. I mean, the same thing where they are both athletically gifted. They can throw the ball 70 yards, do all this, but can it really translate to playing in the pros? And so that's the concern with Sykes coming in where, yeah, he could sling it in college. He could do all the pretty stuff, but can he really do what a quarterback needs to do? You know, and I think with ownership and coaching in LA with the Rams, I'm not sure if he's more or less a running, you know, type of quarterback that what he's looking for. So he's got Cooper Kupp. He's got some players there. So I think that he needs more of the traditional passer. So either way, either quarterback, we definitely think he's going to go quarterback because the Rams were pretty evident this year that, hey, they need to go back there and replace Stafford. Stetson Bennett's not that guy. So I definitely think LA is going to go quarterback no matter who they pick.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, man. And the fact that, you know, you're going to have to keep Matthew Stafford so you have a great mentor on your team who can kind of, you know, show him the ropes as far as like the do's and don'ts, you know what I'm saying? You got a solid running game with Cam Akers. Cooper Kupp is going to be your guy. Like, every play, I'm looking for Cooper Kupp. It's just, it don't matter if you double team him, triple team him, I'm throwing it to him. And he's going to catch it, you know what I'm saying? So, but you mentioned like the O-line is not as great as you would expect with a rookie quarterback coming in, but hey, that's sometimes what you got to learn, man. It's gonna be ups and downs coming into the DML, so it's all about can he survive and make it to the next season, you know.
And that might be a good thing for the Rams. That, hey, my offensive line's not good. I need someone to be able to get away from the pressure.
Right.
You know, so you know, there's pros and cons to drafting either one of those guys, and you know, I think it'll be growing pains for either one of them.
Yeah.
But definitely the Rams are going to go quarterback. If they don't take quarterback, it would truly shock me. Because as we've seen, they got other pieces around. They just don't have that dude playing the quarterback position.
Gotcha. So, man, hey, man, that was a quick rundown of picks 1 through 10. I hope these guys, you know, draft well. I hope these rookies don't stay in the green room long, man, and they're able to kind of like get drafted, get to their team, get to the city, and start living the DML life, man. You understand what I'm saying? So right now, the draft is set for Saturday at 1 p.m. So these guys will have on their fresh suits, their jewelry. I'm sure some of them spent some money already. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, Embro, man, I appreciate you jumping on with me, man, and getting this mock draft out. And man, I'm excited, man. So next season, you can expect another mock draft from the crew. So on that note, man, just want to appreciate y'all, man. Thanks, Embro, for jumping on, and see you next year, man.